guys, and welcome to the summit, and welcome to the 5th review in my Alien Retrospective with Tim from TheLateReviews. To recap for you guys, I did Alien, he did Aliens. I did Alien 3, he did Alien 4 Resurrection. So today we're talking about AVP. And one thing I want to tell you guys is I kind of noticed in my Alien 3 review that I had something in my teeth. So, guys, I gotta ask you. What happened in my teeth? Alright guys, all jokes aside, let's get down to business. Sometimes, guys, when a film series goes to 5, it starts to get pretty shitty. I can give you some examples right here. And in some rare occasions, there are actually some film series that have some really good 5th entries. Is AVP one of those films? Define good. It's not a bad movie, guys. This movie is not horrible, but it's not the greatest entry in this franchise. Is it better than Alien 4? Probably not. And the reason why I say that is because it actually brings back a lot of the original elements of the original Alien film, and some elements of 2, some elements of 3, and even some elements of 4. But when you add the Predators, it adds a completely different feel from another franchise. So I can't say this is a really good Alien film because it's not technically a complete Alien film. One really big thing I need to comment on is how similar this movie is to Prometheus. Way back 16 years ago in the early 2000s, wow, I'm old, Ridley Scott and James Cameron were working on a prequel to Alien. And the project ended up being shelved in favor for Alien vs. Predator, directed by Paul W.S. Anderson. Guys, there are so many similarities to Prometheus in this film that I'm just going to have to just list them off to you. And just to be fair, guys, there will be a lot of spoilers in this review because it's really hard for me to not have spoilers when I'm talking about this film. So if you don't want spoilers, guys, I'm really sorry. So let's just jump into it. So guys, do you remember the beginning of Prometheus? You see the engineer on a very primordial Earth, very clean, no animal life, nothing, except for water, trees, plants, all that stuff. At the very beginning of this, we have a villain. At the very beginning of AVP, we see an alien. We see a predator. At the very beginning of Prometheus, we see an engineer who ends up being the villain of that franchise. Also, in both films, we have an aged member of the Weyland family that is doing their own secret mission. Although it is more realized in Prometheus as to what Peter Weyland is doing, and it's not very realized as to what Charles Bishop Weyland is doing in this film, other than finding the pyramids. You see that the similarity is there. Another big thing that is incorporated in both films is that the scientists at the very beginning of the films are discovered at dig sites or whatever, and, you know, it's the same thing. I mean, we have, and I'm just going to call him the professor because I can't remember his name, at a dig site in South America. We also have Shaw and Holloway in Ireland at some kind of dig site. Also, later in the film, we have a meeting set up to tell us what we're going to do throughout the rest of the film that is in both films that end up having a Weyland at the meeting. Both films also have some kind of ruined temple or ruined building made by the aliens. Another thing that is very similar with both these films is we have a lot of expendable characters. In this case, in AVP, we have 2 characters, a scientist and a weapons expert. I think that's what he is. Are together. They're not really friends. They kind of don't like each other at the beginning. One likes the other more. And then they end up kind of being friends, although the one character that's the weapons expert is just not wanting to be this guy's friend. Does that sound very similar to another movie? Very familiar ideas from both films. But sometimes, guys, with these characters, it's so hard for me to tell who some of them are because I can't remember them. There's so many expendable characters in this film, they're just here to be killed. And, you know, in a sci-fi horror film, that's usually what happens. But you need to be able to relate to some of the characters and remember who some of them are. I gotta give AVP credit for trying to make another very strong, independent female character that isn't Ripley. And that would have been great, guys, but this character does not care about anything. She seems so uninterested Even when her life is on the line, she just looks emotionless. And when she does try to do some emotion, it looks terrible. Guys, watch the scene when she has to shoot Christian. It's terrible, guys. She's overacting so hard. Yeah, guys, these characters are so hard to relate to because most of them are emotionless and most of them are nameless. They're very hard to relate to. Now, what this film keeps trying to cram down your throat is a friendship between all these characters that have just met. It's not there. We don't care, guys. Let's talk about something that I think is completely pointless, but it could have happened later in the film. The Charles Bishop Whalen death scene. Yes, we know that he is injured. He had some kind of cancer. The Predator scanned him and wasn't going to kill him. That's another thing that I want to talk about here. At the very beginning of the movie, a predator is chasing down a human, and then is attacked by an alien. Later in the film, the predators start attacking more of the human characters, but then we see that the predator scans Lance Henderson's character and notice that he's sick, so he noticed that he is defenseless, so he's not going to kill him. Okay? What I was trying to say was, his death was completely avoidable. It didn't need to happen at that point. We don't really care about the Professor character in this film. It's not like Clemens from Alien 3 or some of the Marines from Aliens. There's not really much of a backstory. So if you would have switched those two characters out and had the Professor die at that point instead of Whalen, we could have Whalen a little bit longer in this movie and another character that we could have cared about just a little bit more. But again, guys, I have to give this film a little bit of credit with making Whalen sick. It actually made an attempt to explain why he created a Bishop droid to go up on the Salak with Ripley in the Marines and Aliens. Now, there is one other story element here that I really want to touch on, and it's the fact that they find this temple built with all these different civilizations, languages, and stuff. If it's here, why haven't we noticed it in any other civilization? Why is it just this one place? Why haven't we noticed it anywhere else? Plot holes, guys. Alright, guys, the action scenes in this movie. I'm going to tell you that AVP actually has some really fun action sequences, but I'm going to tell you, jump cuts do not work, guys. We don't like this. It does not work. But like I said, guys, the action is fun. The Predators seem huge and menacing and really hulking beasts and could really take you out with one punch if they wanted to. The xenomorphs are very snake-like in this movie, and they really crawl around all creepily, and when there are close-up scenes of the aliens, it is puppetry, and it is guys in suits, and I really think that is really sweet. And there are some really cool action scenes where the aliens and the Predators fight. But I feel like the action scenes with all the jump cuts don't hit as much as they wanted it to. There's a facehugger scene in this movie that has a very slow scene of the facehugger opening up and going to attack a nameless character that I don't remember. It's slow. It's slowed down. You can see everything. If you would have just added a couple more of those scenes sprinkled throughout the film, I think that the action would have been a little bit more memorable. But now that we're on the topic of puppetry and aliens and fight scenes, let's talk about the Alien Queen. I think that the Alien Queen fight scene at the end of this film is just great, because although there is a lot of CGI used, the Predator is really throwing everything it can at this Alien Queen, and that's pretty badass. There are a lot of aliens in this film, but I think at one point they were trying to create like a lead xenomorph, because there is a scene where the aliens and the Predators are fighting. One of the aliens gets trapped in a net, and I think this net is like the coolest thing in this movie. It digs into the alien's scalp, and you can see like the marks of the net all over the alien and the green blood coming out, and I thought that looked cool. But they didn't really focus enough on that xenomorph to go for the feel that they were trying to do. They were trying to do more of the, surprise attacks and stuff like that, and I agree with that. But if you're going to add more aliens to the film, I think you should have seen some scenes with 2 or 3 of the aliens led by the one xenomorph and, it kind of like moving its head aside and telling aliens where to go. And I think that actually would have been pretty cool and shows that the aliens are a lot smarter than you think they are. And of course, at the end of this movie, it sets up a sequel, and you see the Alien-Predator hybrid. But guys, you'll see more on that in Tim's AVPR review. So guys, this movie has its faults, but I didn't think it was that bad. Does this movie get a Metal Claw? Kinda. It kinda gets a metal claw. It's not my favorite movie in the franchise. I would probably rather watch Alien 3 over AVP, but it is a fun action flick, and it is kind of mindless entertainment, which is Paul W.S. Anderson's thing. So he did go and accomplish what he wanted to do, but not necessarily what we wanted him to do. So guys, what did you think of this video? Comment down below, like, share, subscribe. Like I said, this is an Alien Retrospective review. Make sure you check out Tim from The Late Reviews for his review of AVPR. It is the last one in this franchise. Guys, this has been a hell of a ride. I hope that you loved all these videos, and I hope that you want to see more retrospectives, because I know I want to make more. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram because you know I have them. And guys, most importantly, this has been Zack versus the Blu-Ray Mountain. Stay metal, my friends. I had to do it one more time.